That's right. I'd like to begin by looking at Slate, which runs a piece talking about some of the weight people have felt in the run-up to this anniversary. And it tells a story of one man who had to take his wife to the hospital twice this month, suffering from flashbacks. She'd wake up crying and saying that the militia had come back. Now, many are saying this commemoration masks the deep divisions that remain in the country. Last year, the government, led by President Kagame, a Tutsi, ran a campaign called I Am Rwandan, where Hutus born after the genocide apologize in the name of their ethnic group. And critics say the government is suffering from ethnic amnesia and that its one-sided version of events is making it difficult for many to bury the past. Now, the Irish Times has a similar idea. It says Rwanda is still divided after 20 years. Public dissent is minimal. It spoke to an aid worker for Human Rights Watch who used to work in the country, and she says the government has tried to build stability and peace on the basis of fear and silence. The paper also spoke to a Rwandan living in Ireland who says she fears that there will be a lot of bloodshed when Kagame finally leaves the presidency in 2017 and fears that it could be even worse than in 1994.
Well, Paul Kagame has also been very critical of France, saying this country had a very real role in those events 20 years ago.
That's right. This got started when he made the comments originally last week to the publication Jeune Afrique, and he hasn't backed off those comments at all. He made them again, speaking to left-leaning Libération in a new interview, saying that France has been involved in Rwanda before and during the genocide, and maybe even after. He also said that France and Belgium played a role in the genocide, contributing to the emergence of, quote, a genocidal ideology. Now, Kagame's also been critical of the French legal system. Last month, a Paris court sentenced Pascal Simbikangwa to 25 years in prison, but it was the first such conviction in France after 2 decades following the genocide. Now, Le Parisien looks at another man who had a murky role in all this, Captain Paul Baril, a former French gendarme. NGOs have called on officials to charge him with complicity in crimes against humanity, and French magistrates have already discovered he secured more than $3 million in arms contracts before and after the genocide, a time during which arms sales to Rwanda were under embargo.
Okay, there's been a lot made in the international press, at least, about learning a lesson from the genocide.
That's right. Now, The Independent says it even makes a case for intervention. It says that France's decision to pull out of the commemoration would be tragic if it overshadows the significance of the anniversary itself. It says France's role was murky in the horrific events, but the whole world stood by and did nothing at the time. And it says today the world has a responsibility to learn that if there are conflicts, it should step forward, and that sometimes outside intervention is the only way to stop the carnage.
Well, let's move to India now, where the biggest vote ever in the world is finally underway.
That's right. Britain's running a double-page spread. Cracks are starting to show in the Gandhi dynasty's heartland. And to get an idea of the scale of the election, there are 800 million voters out of a population of 1.2 billion people. Now, the piece says the Gandhi family will remain a force, but that it could see big defeats as great changes are sweeping across the country. And the world's biggest democratic exercise even got a little bit bigger this year. After more than 50 years, Tibetans living in exile in India got voting rights, but it hasn't been without a hitch. The Indian Express reports that with no voter cards, Tibetans have to wait to cast their votes. So what they're saying is largely because of bureaucratic paperwork, officials are unable to process all of this, and they say they don't have the resources or the manpower to process the Tibetan voters. The Tibetans say we haven't been given any guidance as to what we can do.
All right, let's finish up now with one last story, and I love this title, Bringing Up the Rear, a story about toilets in Japan.
That's right. Now, Slate has a first-hand account of an American trying a Japanese toilet for the first time, and with remote controls, heated seats, bidet functions, and sounds to obscure less desirable sounds, he says it transforms the act of excretion into a technologically enhanced pleasure ritual. Americans are living in the past, and he says the bathroom could be a realm of surprise and delight. I don't know if we have any chance of getting those put in here, but I'm going to see. I'm going to talk to the bosses.
The WC, Room of Surprise and Delight. I like that. Will Hildebrand, thank you so much. Time now for sports, and of course it starts with the latest football roundup on France 24.
James Rodriguez scored twice as Monaco beat Nantes 3-1 to keep Claudio Ranieri's side in control of second.